The airport was busy. People walked fast, pulling expensive bags. Some wore shiny watches, some wore clothes that looked new and rich. Then came Adrian Cole. He was different. He wore old jeans, a black hoodie, and sneakers that looked worn out. In his hand, he carried a guitar case. It was scratched and old, but he held it carefully, like it was important. People stared. Some frowned. Others whispered. He looked out of place in the first-class line. Adrian did not care. He was used to people judging him. What no one knew was that he owned Sky Vista Airlines. He was a billionaire. But today he wanted to travel like a normal man. He wanted to see how people treated him when they didn't know who he was. At the gate, he gave his ticket. The woman checking it looked surprised, but the ticket was real. She gave it back, and Adrian walked into the first-class cabin. The other passengers stared again. A woman in a silk dress covered her nose. A man in a suit frowned. Two flight attendants, Chloe and Marco, whispered to each other. "Did security fall asleep?" Chloe said. "Look at him. He doesn't belong here." Marco laughed. "He looks like he came from economy by mistake." Adrian heard them, but he stayed calm. He kept walking. Then another voice spoke. "Welcome aboard, sir." Adrian looked up. It was a young flight attendant. Her uniform was neat. Her smile was kind. Her name tag read Sophia Lane. She didn't look at him like he was strange. She looked at him like he was normal. "Do you want me to put your guitar in the storage?" she asked. Adrian shook his head. His voice was quiet. "No, thank you. I'll keep it with me." Sophia nodded. "That's fine. If you change your mind, just tell me." Her smile stayed gentle. She noticed how carefully he held the guitar. She knew it meant something to him. Adrian looked at her longer than he planned. She didn't laugh at him. She didn't judge him. For the first time that day, he felt lighter. The plane took off. Passengers enjoyed champagne and fine food. Adrian sat quietly looking out the window. When Chloe came by with drinks, Adrian asked softly, "Could I have water, please?" Chloe raised her eyebrows. "Water? This is first class. Are you sure you don't want champagne? Or is it too expensive for you?" Marco laughed. "He probably can't even say the name Dom Perignon." Some passengers laughed too. Adrian stayed calm. He was used to people judging him. But then Marco grabbed Adrian's guitar case. "This thing looks dirty," Marco said. "I'll move it before it scratches the luggage." "Be careful," Adrian said quickly. His voice was sharp. That guitar was special. It was the last gift from his late wife. Before Marco could drop it, Sophia stepped in. "Marco, I'll handle it." She carefully took the case and placed it in a safe place. Then she turned to Adrian. "It's safe now," she said softly. Adrian gave her a small smile. "Thank you." Their eyes met. For a moment, everything else went quiet. Later, the cabin grew quiet when Victor Kane, the new operations manager, entered. He wore a fancy suit and walked like he owned the place. He saw Adrian at once. His eyes narrowed. "What is this?" Victor said loudly. "Who let this man into first class?" Adrian spoke calmly. "My ticket says first class." Victor smirked. "Maybe it's fake." "Should I throw you back to economy myself?" Passengers whispered. Sophia stepped forward. "Mr. Kane, his ticket is real. I checked it. He has every right to be here." The cabin went silent. No one spoke to Victor like that. Victor's eyes turned cold. "Be careful, Miss Lane. Remember who pays your salary?" Adrian said nothing, but inside he admired Sophia's courage. Dinner service had just started when the plane shook. Glasses spilled. Passengers screamed. The plane dropped suddenly. Oxygen masks fell. Chloe froze. Marco panicked. Victor shouted, but he gave no clear orders. Adrian stood up, calm and steady. "Everyone, stay calm," he said. He helped a child put on a mask. He comforted an old man. He moved quickly but carefully. Sophia copied him. She calmed passengers too. Her eyes met Adrian's. Another jolt hit the plane. Sophia lost her balance. Adrian caught her wrist firmly. "Stay close," he told her. Her heart beat fast. She felt safe with him. The plane shook harder. Then the captain's voice came. "We've lost part of our system. Please remain seated." The voice cut off. Panic grew. Adrian's jaw tightened. He moved toward the cockpit. Victor blocked him. "Where are you going?" "To help." "You? You're just a passenger. Sit down." Adrian's eyes turned cold. If I don't help, we're finished. He pushed past. In the cockpit, alarms blared. The pilots looked scared. Adrian studied the panels. His voice was calm but firm. He gave instructions. The pilots followed. Slowly, the plane steadied. When Adrian returned, passengers clapped. Sophia stared at him, amazed. Victor's face turned red with anger, his voice sharp and trembling. "You fool! You could have killed us all," he shouted, pointing at Adrian. But the passengers would not allow it. Voices rose from every corner of the cabin, strong and united. "He saved us. Without him, we'd be dead. He's a hero." The sound grew louder until the whole cabin echoed with their cries. Passengers, already recording on their phones, caught every word. Cameras flashed, catching Victor's furious face side by side with Adrian's calm one. Sophia stepped forward, her voice steady though her heart pounded. She stood right beside Adrian, her shoulder almost brushing his. "Mr. Kane," she said firmly, her eyes locked on Victor. "You should thank him. He didn't put us in danger. He saved lives." For a moment, silence filled the air. Victor's glare burned hot, his jaw clenched tight. His pride wanted to lash out, but his words stuck in his throat. He could not fight the truth. With the whole world watching, he said nothing. Adrian remained quiet too. He didn't argue, he didn't boast. He let the passengers' voices speak for him. Yet as Sophia's words rang in his ears, something stirred deep inside him. She had defended him when it mattered most. In that storm of anger and praise, Adrian felt a calmness he hadn't known in years. He felt closer to Sophia. Later, Chloe cornered Sophia. "Why do you keep defending him?" she sneered. "He's nothing. You'll lose your job." Sophia stood tall. "He's a passenger." "That's enough," Marco smirked. "Wait until Kane hears this." They walked away. Adrian had heard everything. His chest tightened. Sophia defended him when she didn't know who he really was. That night, as she passed his seat, Adrian whispered, "You didn't have to stand up for me." Sophia smiled. "I just did what's right." Their eyes met in the dim light. Neither looked away. The cabin was tense the next morning, the steady hum of the engines unable to drown out the storm brewing in Victor's eyes. He stalked down the aisle like a predator closing in on its prey. Passengers leaned aside, whispers trailing behind him like smoke. He stopped in front of Adrian's seat, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Enough games. Show me your ID, now." The words cracked through the air. A hush fell. Even the flight attendants froze mid-step, trays trembling in their hands. Chloe tilted her head, lips curling into a smug smile. Marco crossed his arms, his eyes glittering with triumph. To them, this was the moment they would expose Adrian, the quiet, unassuming man who had dared to stand in their way. But Adrian didn't flinch. He rose slowly, with the kind of composure that made silence heavier. His gaze swept the cabin before settling on Victor. "My name," he said evenly, each word deliberate, "is Adrian Cole, founder and owner of SkyVista Airlines." The words detonated like thunder. Gasps rippled through the passengers. Someone dropped a glass. The sharp crack of shattering ice punctuated the stunned silence. Chloe's smirk vanished, replaced by slack-jawed disbelief. Marco's face drained of color, his arrogance crumbling like ash. Victor staggered back half a step, then laughed harshly. "You? The CEO of SkyVista? Don't make me laugh. Look at you, dressed in rags like a beggar. How can a homeless man be a billionaire?" Adrian's expression didn't change. "I am who I say I am, and you'll regret this behavior." But Victor sneered, and Chloe and Marco quickly sided with him. They shook their heads, mocking Adrian, while some passengers murmured in doubt. "He can't be the CEO," someone whispered. "Just look at him." Victor snapped, his voice rising. "Sit down, liar, before I have the air marshals drag you off this plane." Adrian stood his ground, calm, steady, unmoved. Furious, Victor waved for the air marshal. Chloe and Marco laughed, whispering to each other that Adrian was finished for daring to challenge a powerful man like Victor. When the marshal arrived, however, his steps faltered. His eyes widened the moment he saw Adrian. Recognition flashed instantly. He had been in a meeting with him and the senior staff of the company not long ago. The marshal turned sharply on Victor. "Are you out of your mind? You want me to arrest your own boss?" The cabin erupted in gasps. Victor's face went pale. "No, no, that can't be true," he stammered. The marshal bowed slightly toward Adrian. "I apologize, sir." On behalf of this crew, Chloe and Marco were frozen, still struggling to believe what they were hearing. Just then, a passenger in the back shouted, "It's true! He's the CEO!" All heads turned. The man held up his phone, the screen glowing with an online search showing Adrian's face alongside his title. Adrian Cole, billionaire CEO of SkyVista Airlines. Victor's certainty collapsed into shock. His lips moved, but no words came out. Then came the murmurs. SkyVista? The billionaire? On this flight? The cabin buzzed with awe, disbelief melting into wonder. A slow clap began at the back, hesitant at first, then spreading until the entire plane thundered with applause. But Adrian's eyes weren't on them. He didn't bask in the glory, didn't acknowledge the adoration. His gaze found only Sophia. She wasn't clapping. She wasn't wide-eyed or gasping like the others. She simply watched him, calm, almost expectant, as if she had always known. "I knew you were different," she said softly, her voice carrying through the noise like a secret meant only for him. And in that moment, amid the chaos, the applause, the stunned faces, Adrian felt something he hadn't in years. Not recognition, not power, but seen. Truly seen. When the plane touched down, the world was already waiting. Police cars, reporters, and flashing cameras surrounded the airport. Crowds pressed forward, desperate to see the passengers who had survived the chaos in the skies. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Videos recorded by passengers spread like wildfire across social media. Millions watched Adrian rise to his feet when everyone else froze. Millions watched Victor lose control, Chloe and Marco mock, and Sophia sit trembling in fear. News channels replayed the clips on an endless loop. The billionaire in disguise saves hundreds. Hero or leader? Meet Adrian, the man who risked it all. Victor's fall from power, caught on camera. Every headline lifted Adrian. Every headline destroyed Victor, Chloe, and Marco. Outside the airport, the crowd cheered for Adrian. Some even held up signs with his name. Strangers shouted, "Hero! Hero!" as he stepped into the open air. Cameras flashed, reporters swarmed, but Adrian walked forward without a word. Behind him, the scene was far less forgiving. Victor stumbled out in handcuffs, his face pale as chalk. On the tarmac, he had fallen to his knees, begging Adrian for forgiveness, his voice broken. "Please, sir, I was wrong. I didn't know. Don't let them take me like this." Adrian's calm reply cut through the noise. "You chose arrogance over respect, Victor. Actions have consequences." The police pulled Victor to his feet and led him away as the crowd booed and hurled insults. Paper cups and angry shouts followed him. "Coward! Shame on you!" The man who once built his name on power now became the face of disgrace. Investors abandoned him overnight. His own board demanded his resignation. The world saw not strength, but weakness, and he could not escape the headlines. Chloe and Marco met their downfall too. Their mocking smiles on the plane had been caught on countless videos. By the time the cabin doors opened, the airline had already suspended them. Soon after, Adrian himself confirmed their dismissal. "You will never wear this uniform again," he told them simply. Online, hashtags burned across every platform. Hashtag fire Chloe, hashtag no more Marco, hashtag fake protectors. Comments flooded in. They cared more about pride than people. "Good riddance." Chloe wept when she saw herself on the news, her sneers replayed again and again. Marco sat in silence, his phone buzzing with hate-filled messages. Their dreams of flying were over. No airline would touch their names. The disgrace clung to them like a shadow. But Adrian stood apart from it all. Reporters shoved microphones in his face, shouting questions. He ignored them. The cheers, the flashing lights, the chaos, it all meant nothing. His eyes searched for Sophia. She stood a little apart, small in the crowd, her hands trembling, her face still pale from fear. Adrian pushed through the cameras, reached for her hand, and held it firmly. He didn't let go. For him, none of the disgrace, none of the praise, none of the noise mattered. Only Sophia did. "I owe you thanks," Adrian said, his gaze steady. "You were the only one who stood by me when it mattered most." Sophia blinked, her cheeks warming. She looked down shyly. "I just did my job," she whispered. Adrian shook his head gently, stepping closer until she could feel the warmth of his presence. "No," he said firmly, but with kindness. "It wasn't your job. You cared when no one else did. You believed in me when the others turned away." Her heart raced. The world around them faded. The cameras, the flashing lights, the noise. In that moment, she saw only him. His words reached deeper than she expected, touching a place in her heart she didn't even know was waiting. For the first time, Adrian's eyes softened. The hard edge of the businessman, the calm mask of the hero, both were gone. What remained was just a man standing in front of her, hopeful and open. He slowly held out his hand. His voice lowered to something almost tender. "May I take you to dinner? Not as your boss, not as the man everyone is talking about, but simply as the man you believed in." Sophia's lips parted in surprise. For a moment she couldn't breathe. Then her nervous smile grew into something brighter, something real. She placed her hand gently into his. "Yes," she said, her voice soft but certain. Together they walked toward the exit doors. The cameras flashed wildly, voices shouted louder. But Adrian didn't care. Sophia didn't care. To them, the world outside had disappeared. For Adrian, love, something he thought he had lost forever, had finally returned. For Sophia, love was just beginning. It felt like stepping into the sky again. But this time, with no fear. Love had taken flight.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.